Just the knife in the kidneys over all these years.
Hello and welcome to Happily Ever Reality. I am so glad you're here. And I'm glad to be back. It's been a little while since I put out a video. That is because it's either been I've been busy or I've been sick and my voice was froggy. It seemed to either be one or the other and I just couldn't sit down and do it. So I'm really glad that my voice is back to normal and I can finally record. Today we're going to talk about season 17, episode 10 of Sister Wives, which is the kidney in the knife episode. I always wanted to know what the kids thought about how Kody acted in that episode, and Gwendolyn Brown finally did a reaction. I originally started watching her reaction and commentary video about this episode over on Patreon. I'm a subscriber over there for her channel, and I was watching it, but I couldn't watch the whole thing, so I had stopped and thought, okay, I'm going to come back to it. But when I came back, she had taken the video down. I can only speculate that there was something she regretted saying or decided she didn't want to have public, so she took it down, which she has every right to do, but then she never put up another video for episode 10. And it was such a drama-filled and intense episode of Sister Wives. I just think people want to know what the kids thought. I know I did. I want to know what the kids thought about how he acted. So I think she needs to at least put something up over on Patreon, even if it's the same video that's on YouTube. You know, people are paying there and they sort of expected the commentary videos for every episode. So even if it is a highly edited one, I think she should have something on that platform. I will put a link to her YouTube video in the description box so you can go over there and watch it if you haven't already. The good thing about the ones she posts on YouTube is that she's able to show clips from the Sister Wives show in the corner, so you actually know what she's talking about without opening up another window, which is what you have to do if you watch on Patreon. So it is kind of easier to watch over on YouTube. That is all I'm going to say about the actual video being out there. Let's go ahead and talk about what was in it. Did you guys catch what Gwendolyn said about this scene of the show?
I think your relationship is off with your kids because of COVID, not because of me.
So that is the scene where Kody's accusing Christine of talking about him, and Gwendolyn responds to the part where Christine says it's probably because of COVID by saying it's not because of COVID, which I thought was interesting. It would have been very easy for her to not even say anything at all there and just let it go and let it be, you know, let everyone think COVID changed their relationship or COVID was a huge part of it. But I think we all knew that probably wasn't it. I've always assumed that Kody Brown couldn't maintain close relationships with all of his adult children, partly because there are just so many of them, and then he still has much younger children. I always just assumed that once the kids grew up, he sort of didn't see them as often, or, you know, he sort of didn't maintain a close relationship with them. Now, Gwen doesn't say that. She just says it's not because of COVID, but I think it sort of confirms what most of us have been thinking. Those relationships weren't going to be good anyway. Gwendolyn also makes a comment about the scene where Robin asks if Christine is going to have a relationship with her and her children. I'm going to go ahead and put in a clip from the show here.
Give you your space? Are you interested in some sort of trying to work stuff out?
We all know that Christine responded by saying that she needed some space. It was a very reasonable response. It wasn't mean. I wouldn't have expected any other answer. It would have been really weird if Christine said, "Oh, of course, now that I'm leaving Kody, I want to spend more time with you." Like, I thought her response was kind as it could be given the situation, and it was exactly what I expected. It's what I would have said. Gwendolyn actually reacted to this scene by saying, "If I was having a panic attack, I wouldn't want my enemy to comfort me." And I thought that was really interesting that she used the word enemy, because I think in this situation, when you're married to one man and he is giving one person all of the attention, or one set of kids all of the attention, you're going to start to feel like that person is your enemy, like your competition. You're competing for your partner's time. It really puts the women up against each other if the husband is not treating them all equally. So I think Gwen's right. It is almost like they've been competing. I don't know if I would have used the word enemy, but it does show that the kids see that. the kids see it that way. So I just thought it was interesting to hear her use that word. The next part that surprised me was how Gwen responded to Kody saying this.
I just feel like for the past 14 years, I've just been sucking it up with her. You know, just trying to be a loving husband.
First of all, saying that was so crappy. He was just sucking it up with her. If that's what he's been doing for the last 14 years, which is what he said, then he ought to just let it go. He should just let the relationship go, and he shouldn't be arguing with her out there anyway. But I did think it was interesting. Gwen responded by saying, meanwhile, he writes in his book that he thinks she's a pig. Oh yeah, loving husband. So, you know, I don't know that I've heard the kids say anything about that being in the book. I know for viewers of the show or fans of the show, the nacho story is just infamous. We all know it. If you say nacho story, we know we're talking about Christine eating and Kody watching her. And it's in the book. So it's just infamous among fans of the show, but I don't know that I've ever heard the kids say anything about it, or if I did, I definitely didn't. I didn't pay attention to it. So I was surprised that she threw that dig in right there. It was funny because Gwendolyn reacts to the scene where Robin is crying out in the driveway with Mary, and she sort of says what I think we all say when we watch the show, is like, oh, Robin's crying again. Gwendolyn says they must have ran out of content because why are they showing it? We all realize that she's crying. It's like, that's how we feel. That's how I feel as a viewer. Like, Robin's gonna cry again. Here we go. How long do we have her wipe her fake tears off of her face? So Gwendolyn does comment about that, which I thought was funny. The one thing I want to point out too is at the beginning of this, Gwen was saying, you know, Kody was being mature and that he deserved to be heard and his feelings were valid. And it was clear to me at that point she had not seen any of this episode. Like, she was genuinely watching for the first time, which she says she does. But I was surprised to hear her use the word mature with Kody, because as a viewer, that's not what I think of when I think of Kody Brown. But she said he was being mature and that he deserved to be heard. He does deserve to be heard. He was being divorced, but mature is just not the word I'm going to use for him. So I was surprised to hear her say that. And then when he finally becomes explosive and he's standing up and he's kind of raising his voice, you can tell she's surprised. She actually doesn't say as much as I thought she was going to say, but if you watch the video, her facial reactions and her physical reaction to how he's acting, you can tell she's surprised. I just wonder if any of the other kids have watched this and if their opinions are changing about how he was. There was a part of Gwendolyn's video that I didn't expect, mostly because I had forgotten it was a part of episode 10, and that was the ending of the show, and she did a reaction to that. And it's the part where Kody is greeting Ari and Saul when they come home from their first day of school.
Did you make friends?
Yeah. Yes.
We did get a report from Ariela's teacher.
Gwen reacts very emotionally to this scene. She says she doesn't remember Kody being there when she came home from school, and she doesn't remember him being an active father in the way that he's being with Ari and Saul. She says she's happy that he's there for them. They deserve an active, involved dad, but she wishes she had that sort of relationship with him when she was growing up as well. She said she doesn't remember him being there when she came home from school. It was always her mom who was there and showing an interest in what her school day was like. It's sort of weird because in episode 10 of Sister Wives, you know, what I remember the most is actually Kody having his meltdown on the porch. That was what I was interested in seeing her react to. But then this scene there that I completely forgot about is really the one that gets to her the most, which makes sense because she's seeing him be a father to the other kids. So it's not really surprising that this would be the thing that's the most emotional for her. But as a viewer of the show, I just think of episode 10 and the whole knife in the kidneys and all the sacrifices Kody made. That is what I remember, but it's this little moment at the end that really gets to Gwen. There was a part of Gwen's video that made me feel very validated, and that is when she is talking about her family and them being polygamist. Back when I first started this channel, I had made the comment that I thought Kody was in over his head and he wasn't really cut out for having 4 wives. He might have been able to have just stuck with Janelle, Christine, and Mary, but I thought adding Robin just made it all too much for him. When I would talk about Kody not being a good polygamist husband, everyone agreed. But when I would bring up the fact that I didn't think Christine should be in a polygamous relationship, that is when people had differing opinions. The most common response I would get would say something like, Christine would be a great sister wife and do well if she was treated fairly. I actually agree with that, but I still don't think a polygamous relationship was the best relationship for her. Here's the thing, it goes back to that saying, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. I think Christine was raised around polygamy. She saw women being sister wives, women sharing husbands. So she knows how to handle that. She knows how to live that life. But do I think that's the best life for her? Absolutely not. I think it's going to be, you're going to have a hard time finding people who are really well suited for that. And weirdly enough, I sort of feel like Janelle handled it best. She didn't mind that Kody wasn't around at all. I think Christine needed more attention and time from Kody than Janelle did. And I think Christine was going to be happiest with a husband who just had one wife. I just think how she was raised and her faith led her into this, but it wasn't the best thing for her. Do I think she would have been a good sister wife if she was treated fairly? Yeah, I think she would have been a good sister wife, but I don't think she was going to have her needs met the way that she needed them to be. She needed more. So that is all I was ever trying to say, and people definitely disagreed with me, but I feel vindicated because listen to what Gwen says.
Is not made for polygamy, and maybe none of them were, except for Robin. Maybe.
Gwendolyn actually takes it further and says that none of them are suited for polygamy except maybe Robin, and she doesn't even seem sure about that. I do want to let you know she talks a little bit further and says that maybe they were and it was all meant to be that way because, you know, look how it turned out okay, but she does say she doesn't know if they were well suited for it, and that is how I feel. But I feel it mostly about Christine, and the reason is I think she wanted more time with Kody. I just think she wanted more of a typical monogamous relationship. She wanted more time with him. She wanted him to come home at the end of the day. I think she went along with polygamy because that was how she was raised. But I think emotionally, her needs and what her heart wanted, she just wanted more. She wanted more from her partner, and she would have gotten that in a monogamous relationship if it was a good, healthy monogamous relationship. But she was not going to get what she needed from Kody and a polygamous relationship. So it's not an insult to her. It's not me saying something bad about Christine. I'm just saying I think she would have been better with one partner, with one person. And her faith led her to polygamy, and now she's older and left that faith, and she is now going after what is actually going to make her happy. So it was never an insult to her. I felt like sometimes people were sticking up for her, but it was never an insult. I just think she wasn't well suited for that sort of relationship. I am going to link Gwen's video in the description box, so you can go head over there and watch it. There is way more in it. I just wanted to make a video about a few of the things that stood out to me, but let me know in the comments what you thought, and if there's something she missed or didn't say that you thought she would have, or something that surprised you, let me know what you think. And if you haven't already, please click like and subscribe. I appreciate all the support I get for this channel, and I hope you come back to Happily Ever Reality to hear more about your favorite reality TV shows.